We announced the arrival of our Honorable Governor, so very soon we'll be getting started. Ladies and gentlemen, may we all rise for the anthems, starting with the national and followed by the AU anthem. Honorable Dr. Pea Mushelenga, Minister of International Relations and Cooperation, who's joining us virtually from New York, Honorable Governor of the Great Ochotho-Njupa region, Honorable James Werikwa, all councillors present here, regional and local authorities, of which I don't see any at the moment, our distinguished panel members, distinguished delegates, members of the media, ladies and gentlemen, a very good afternoon to you. It's afternoon in Namibia, but we also greet those that are joining us online. My name is Agatha Mwiti, the Chief Regional Officer of Ochotho-Njupa region, and I heartily welcome you to the 21st THEO-BEN GURIRAB lecture series, coming to you live from Ochiwarongo in Ochotho-Njupa region. May we all keep our phones on silent, please. A very special welcome is extended to those following this lecture series on our different virtual platforms, such as the MERCO, or Ministry of International Relations and Cooperation, Facebook Live, NBC live streaming, and other social platforms through which this is being broadcast. The Dr. THEO-BEN GURIRAB lecture series was launched on 31st July 2017 by the late President of the Republic of Namibia, His Excellency Dr. Hage Gottlieb Geingob. May his soul rest in peace. Since then, the Ministry of International Relations and Cooperation has hosted 20 successful lecture sessions aimed at involving the public in taking an interest in shaping the policy on international relations and cooperation of the Republic of Namibia. This afternoon, the Ministry of International Relations and Cooperation brings to you the 21st THEO-BEN GURIRAB lecture series under the theme, Economic Diversification Through Sustainable Practice, Leveraging Trophy Hunting and Livestock Farming to Enhance Regional Prosperity. It is my privilege, therefore, at this point, to introduce to you our panelists for this session. With us this afternoon to tackle the theme and the topic that we have our Honorable Minister, Dr. THEO Mushelenga, Minister of International Relations and Cooperation, who will be joining us virtually from New York, and we'll be viewing him through that screen over there. Then we have Mr. Tinas Pretorius. Mr. Tinas Pretorius, maybe you can just raise your hand that they can know who you are. Is a commercial farmer from Ochudunjupa, but he's also the president of the Namibia Agricultural Union in Namibia. We also have with us as a panelist, Ms. Justine Zeriwa, a senior agricultural scientific officer in the Livestock Advisory Services at the Ministry of Agriculture, Water, and Land Reform. Our audience, as well as members of the public tuned in live through the NBC YouTube page and the Miracle Facebook page, you are most welcome, and please feel free to participate in this session whenever required to do so. Therefore, without further ado, I would like to call upon our regional governor, Honorable James Unomatha Werikwa, to come and give us welcoming remarks. Honorable Governor. Hand for my governor, please.
Thank you, Director of Proceedings. Madam Agatha Mweti, I would like at this juncture to recognize the Honorable Minister of International Relations and Cooperation, who is joining us all the way from New York, Dr. THEO Mushelenga, the panelist, the President of NAU, Tinas Pretorius, and indeed a senior scientific agricultural officer in the name of Justine Zeriwa. And I would like to recognize the presence of the director in the Regional Council, Madam Velma Guriras, and of course my dear brother Richter, highly recognized, and of course our veteran, Madam Susi. Thank you very much. Your presence here is highly recognized. All staff members, members of the public, members of the audience. It is with great honor and enthusiasm that I welcome you to the 21st edition of the Dr. THEO-BEN GURIRAB lecture series. Today we are gathered under the theme, Economic Diversification Through Sustainable Practices, Leveraging Trophy Hunting and Livestock Farming to Enhance Regional Prosperity. I'm extremely happy that after a number of years, the Dr. THEO-BEN GURIRAB lecture series is finally taking place in our mighty region. And I've been informed that the series is named after the late Dr. THEO-BEN GURIRAB, who was the first foreign affairs minister, and of course, one of the longest serving Minister of Foreign Affairs, and contributed immensely to the development of our country, and indeed, to the global governance architecture. It was also in response to his undying desire to always share information and acknowledge his contribution as far as knowledge for the nation building is concerned. As we embark on this journey of knowledge and dialogue, we must reflect on the vital role that sustainable practices play in the economic landscape of the Oshodon-Jupa region and by extension that of the country at large. Our theme today addresses the critical intersection of environmental stewardship and economic opportunities, two pillars that are essential for our collective prosperity as a nation. Today, trophy hunting and livestock farming have long been integral to our region's economic and cultural heritage. However, we must navigate through these avenues with a commitment to sustainability, ensuring that our practices not only support economic growth, but also protect our natural resources and biodiversity for future generations. You might be aware that the Oshodon-Jupa region is having one of the largest population of livestock, stemming over 796,000 livestock for the whole Oshodon-Jupa region. Statistics indicate that we have the highest number of livestock generally per region, and of course the highest number of livestock per capita. I am aware that we are facing serious challenges such as drought, which is a serious threat to our livestock sector. But be that as it may, Oshodon-Jupa region, and I know my dearest brother, President Tines Pretorius, will come and elaborate on that. The livestock sector is an integral part of the agricultural activities and economic driving as far as our region is concerned, accounting for more than 60% of all the economic activities in the region. However, the threat of drought is not the only one that we have. We have an issue where the livestock sector in our country is under serious threat, where our livestock is being exported on the hoof without adding any value to neighboring countries. And in that way, we are exporting employment opportunities. It is important at this juncture, at this very platform, that the panelists will be able to guide us. What are the remedial action, possible avenues that we can venture into? What are the possible solutions that one can look into where we need to retain our livestock in the country, 250,000 winners every year on the hoof to South Africa? How do we retain that? By, of course, ensuring that we capitalize and strengthen our abattoirs, we create enough and strengthen and support our feedlots. And indeed, feedlots cannot operate without fodder production, whereby we need to have gardenings of the highest order. And all these are capital-intensive programs where we need to create a synergy between the public and private sector to ensure that the two coexist in a symbiotic relationship that is beneficial to all of us. The livestock sector in its own sustains families, sustains the nation. But Namibia needs to move into a space where we can retain jobs by strengthening our own local employment and, of course, value addition. As we stand here, trophy hunting is one of the key sectors where international trophy hunters flock into Namibia during the hunting season for hunting the big fives and any other. But again, how can we diversify the economy and the operations and the setup around trophy hunting? How many professional hunters do we have from a previously disadvantaged background? How many professional hunters do we have from a previously advantaged background? We need to do comparative analysis to draw our attention to the real issues that we need to work into. It is about professionalism and ensuring that indeed we sustain our industries by ensuring that they are run in a sustainable format and manner. The theme, eloquently so, without any ambiguity, indicates the aspect of diversity as a key determinant. And I challenge my panelists today to guide us. What is the way forward in our livestock sector, and what is the way forward in our game industry? We cannot talk of game without bringing in the issue of ecotourism and hospitality, because these are the fitting grounds of that. And the Oshodon-Jupa region is known to be one of the pioneer regions as far as that is concerned. We have the privilege of hearing from our experts. Mr. Tines Pretorius, a seasoned farmer and agriculturalist, who will share their insights on how we can leverage these sectors and to create a harmonious balance between economic development and environmental conservation. And indeed, Madam Justine Deriwa is a qualified agriculturalist, A former colleague of mine when I was at Nedam College doing our agricultural papers. It's my foundational and, of course, undergraduate qualification. She's well seasoned, have been around. She will be telling us from the point of government and from her own experiences and expertise how best we can tap into our agricultural sector, primarily livestock and game farming. Let game farming not be a secluded industry in which the requirement for you to qualify as a PH holder, as a PH, which is called a professional hunter, it is required you must have a farming area and all these things. How do we relax the conditions and make sure that we keep the standard and the professionalism without compromising quality? This is what our panelists will guide us to do today. Let us take this opportunity to engage in meaningful discussions, share experiences, forge collaborations that will guide us towards a more prosperous and sustainable future. Government have put in place measures to curb the onslaught of drought. That includes the reticulation of water into farming areas that have grass but no water. But again, diversification of agricultural practices, adapting to more drought-tolerant cultivars, to more drought-tolerant breeds. But what can we do as a nation? Our panelists must guide us, and they must tell us that. I know, Mr. Tines, we had a good discussion, and I hope you are going to bring it here for me to hear more of that. Once again, welcome to this significant event, and thank you for your commitment in advancing our region's sustainable development. Honorable Minister, we can see that you have joined us. And once again, you are welcome to Ochivarongo, Oshononjupa region, the 21st series of the THEO-BEN GURIRAB lecture series that are going on. You are welcoming us all the way from New York. The battalion is formed up here in Ochivarongo, the center and the heart of Oshononjupa region. Thank you very much, and God bless us all.
Thank you very much, Honorable Governor. Let's give him another round of applause, please. Again, I would like to especially acknowledge that the Honorable Minister, Dr. Peya Mushelenga, Minister of International Relations and Cooperation, has now joined us. Honorable Minister, we just started our discussions, and I think at this point in time, it's just proper that I hand over the floor to you, Honorable Minister, for you to address us on this topic that we are discussing today. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Director, celebrities, Honorable Regional Governor, Oshononjupa Region, Chairperson of the Regional Council of Oshononjupa, Your Worship, the Mayor of Ochivarongo Municipality, and mayors of other towns, esteemed regional and local authority councillors, CRO, CEOs, regional commanders of police, senior government officials, traditional leaders, distinguished invited guests, members of the media. A very good afternoon to you. I greet you from New York, where I am attending sessions of the United Nations General Assembly. I would have loved to be with you, but as I indicated, the national duties have not allowed me to be with you today, but thanks to technology, we are together. Let me take this opportunity to recognize and thank the Office of the Regional Governor for affording us an opportunity to host the 21st Dr. THEO-BEN GURIRAB lecture series in your region and town of Chuarongo under the theme Economic Diversification through Sustainable Practices, leveraging trophy hunting and livestock farming to enhance regional prosperity. Let me also take this opportunity to extend my heartfelt appreciation to the panelists and participants, both physical and virtual, for making time in your busy schedules to ensure attendance and participation in this 21st Dr. THEO-BEN GURIRAB lecture series. Director of Proceedings, ladies and gentlemen, trophy hunting is a controversial topic with some people for and others against. Protagonists advocate trophy hunting because of the socio-economic benefits to communities and because trophy hunting is largely supported by local communities. Therefore, they assert that when people debate about the pros and cons of trophy hunting, consideration should be given to the views of local people who enjoy the burden of sharing landscapes with wildlife. Similarly, there are critics who are opposed to this industry, citing, among others, inequality, malpractices, and a sense of colonialism. They further deplore the fact that trophy hunting is carried out by people from the global north in sub-Saharan Africa, and people from sub-Saharan Africa are not involved in trophy hunting. Director of Ceremonies, as we navigate the complexities of the rapidly changing global economy, it has become increasingly clear that we must move away from traditional economic models. Today's deliberations embrace regional economic diversification aimed at fostering sustainable development in the Oshadonjupa region and Namibia at large. As the minister responsible for promoting Namibia's interests on the international front, my brief remarks this afternoon will touch on our international cooperation, or will touch on the benefits of trophy huntings to communities and how we can tap from international experiences. Ladies and gentlemen, there are various socio-economic benefits derived from trophy hunting. Academic publications like the one by British, South African, and Chinese academics titled A Global Survey of the Societal Benefits of Trophy Hunting in Africa state that trophy hunting is a source of, among others, meat supply to communities, as hunting concession holders are only interested in taking the trophy and not the meat, which is then donated to communities. In some instances, trophy hunting also focuses on animal control. Given the incentives that comes with trophy hunting, this industry fosters the growth of community conservancies, which makes meaningful contributions to socio-economic benefits of communities, including the large population of those communities. Oshadonjupa region has various game species which could be used to leverage the region's development agenda. It can provide critical funding for wildlife conservation, support local communities, and create incentives for sustainable land management. Namibia, alongside many other African countries, has managed to create regulated hunting program. Namibia has a community-based resource management scheme where small committee members manage conservancies and grant leaseholds to trophy operators. The Conservancy Committee receives 20% of proceeds from trophy hunting. In general, economic terms, this amount does not make significant impact. It is thus important to review the current trophy hunting regime, looking at other models where community benefits from trophy hunting, where community benefits from trophy huntings are substantial. In countries like Pakistan, government and community-based conservancies have developed schemes where trophy hunting fees benefit communities not only in terms of employment, but also education and health schemes. It is further important to have training program for communities where trophy hunting take place so that they can effectively manage their natural resources. We should have a vigorous marketing strategy to promote trophy hunting and our game products for the global market. I take note that each region has its own unique challenge, such as the issue of poaching, which is prevalent in the Shadanjupa region. To derive maximum benefit from trophy hunting, the region needs to double its policing efforts to curb the losses resulting from poaching. Further, the region should ensure that value is added to game products before shipping these out of the country. Local value addition to game products will contribute to local job creation, and the revenue generated from the sale of permits can be reinvested into the local economy and provide livelihoods, allowing communities to thrive while protecting their natural heritage. Moreover, it is imperative that as government, we must communicate the benefits of trophy hunting to a broader audience, emphasizing that it is not just a recreational hobby, but a vital part of a comprehensive conservation strategy. As African countries, we have been trying to do so in the Convention of International Trade in Endangered Species of Wild Fauna and Flora. By fostering partnerships with international stakeholders, we can create a framework that prioritizes both economic gain and ecological benefit. Director of Proceedings, ladies and gentlemen, in conclusion, the path towards economic diversification is not without its challenge, but by leveraging trophy hunting and livestock farming responsibly, we can enhance regional prosperity. With these remarks, I wish to request that we utilize the opportunities available to us as we craft a path to regional and national prosperity. Let us protect the needs and interests of present and future generations by capitalizing on the resources at our disposal. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister, for opening the floor for the submissions on this topic. Indeed, you highlighted important aspects of this theme today, specifically that we should move away from the traditional economic models, but more embrace new models that would also encourage the communities to be able to manage their own resources in a more sustainable manner, as well as the fact that we need to empower the communities to be able to handle their own resources more effectively. And most importantly, value addition, to ensure that whatever is done, value is added here in Namibia so that it can contribute to economic growth and also create job opportunities. Thank you very much, Honorable Minister. A big hand again for Honorable Minister, please. I'd now like to call upon the second panelist, Mr. Tinos Pretorius. As I indicated earlier, Mr. Tinos Pretorius is a commercial farmer, but he's also the president of the Namibia Agriculture Union in Namibia. Mr. Pretorius, the floor is yours.
Honorable Minister, Honorable Governor, Master of Ceremonies, I stand with the protocol as established. I think for us in Namibia to be frank and look at the future, we have to dwell a little on where we come from. What do we have? What did we do right up to now? And what did we do wrong? As the driest country south of the Sahara, we have challenges, for sure. But if we go to the beef sector, we are the only country in Africa that is able to export to the USA, the UK, the EU, China, the rest of Africa, the Middle East, and the East. So something we have done right for the past 30 years. Only 5 countries in Southern Africa qualified for this 30 years back. It's only us and Botswana still on the bandwagon for the EU. Namibia is the only one able to export to the USA. As far as trophy hunting is concerned, Namibia has got sustainable utilization enshrined in its constitution. The only country in the world where sustainable utilization of game is protected in our constitution. Apart from this, Namibia is a success story as far as conservation is concerned. We have enough examples in the form of Botswana and Kenya that stopped with trophy hunting and with devastating effect. The moment you put a value on an animal, you've got a sponsor that is willing to look after this animal. And Namibia has written this recipe with great success. Namibia, one of the only countries in the world, if not the only one, where there's more game on privately owned land than in parks. The rest of Namibia has got more game, exotic as well as common veld game on private land or communal land than in parks. Something we have done right. The question is there room for improvement? For sure, there is room for improvement. Come back to the livestock sector. I think the governor has touched on it. I've got one question, that is, do we understand the value chain? That's the first question. We have to understand a value chain, and they call it a chain. It's not a push, it's a chain. It has to be pulled. There's a few principles in economy that we have to adhere to, and that is that the housewife, the end user, determines the price for our product. We as farmers are price takers. That was always the way, and it still is the way. A critical decision we have to make is how long do we keep the value chain in our hand? The longer we keep the value chain in our hand, the stronger part of the value chain we represent. So I think this is one of the maybe fields that we can elaborate on. The value chain, a clear definition of the value chain for livestock farming, and our role in this value chain. As you all know, there is 3 privately abattoirs that are currently in the process of also starting up and exporting our beef to the EU or to the lucrative markets we did establish in the past. As far as trophy hunting is concerned, we as farmers do not have a huge impact on it, because only 2% of animals on our farms is eligible for trophy hunting. The governor, the honorable governor mentioned it. I think trophy hunting and ecotourism is hand in hand. We have to look at land use, optimizing land use. I will conclude and say we do not necessarily have to find new avenues. We have to make sure that what we do 100% efficient. I think there is a huge room for improvement in what we do. Do we market to the right markets? Do we market our product in the right way? I think there is a huge opportunity for us in order to market our product. Grain-fed beef is all over the world, but cattle that come from the veld, grass-fed, is unique, and we as farmers do not share this premium of our product. We have a premium product that we have to sell correctly. The same with our game, our environmental success story, the communal conservancies the minister mentioned. I mean, that's a success story we have to build on. We have to market it in the international arena for people to partake in the success story of Namibia. Lastly, I think the divide between government and the private sector is a crucial point we shall and must address in future, in order to the government with a social responsibility to its citizens and the economy that is driven by the economy. We must find synergy between these two. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Pretorius. Great words of thoughts indeed. Do we market to the right market and in the right way? That's a question that comes to all of us, not only to the farmers, but to all the various stakeholders. And also the fact that we should embrace what we already have, the success stories that we have. How do we capitalize on them? We have abundant game, the only country that has more game. When you drive around in many of the African countries, you don't see anything. You are lucky to see a squirrel, you know, a squirrel crossing the road. You won't even see a warthog. But in Namibia, you can see anything. And that's the beauty of Namibia. Those are the success stories that we need to capitalize on and see how do we improve on them. But then, without me filtering a lot, I'd like to call upon the next and last panelist, Ms. Justine Zeriwa, Senior Agricultural Scientific Officer in the Livestock Advisory Services at the Ministry of Agriculture, Water and Land Reform. Also, she'll be talking more from the perspective of government. What is there that government is currently doing? What legal frameworks are there to guide what we are talking about here? Ms. Zeriwa, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Moeti. Allow me to stand by the protocol that is already observed by the previous speakers. And a very good afternoon to each and every one of us in here, as well as a good afternoon to those who are with us virtually. First of all, I would like to honor Dr. THEO-BEN GURIRAB. May his soul continue to rest in peace for his continuing legacy. May his legacy continue into infinity or till infinity. The topic that is on the table, ladies and gentlemen, is quite crucial. It's quite interesting. It is talking about the economic diversification through sustainable practices, leveraging trophy hunting and livestock farming. Sustainable livestock farming does not only diversify the economy, but it also taps into the environmental integrity or stability, as well as improving the lives of the people in the communities. Sustainable agriculture is actually an approach that seeks to meet the needs of the food as well as the textile of the communities, while they are also preserving the environment and keeping it in its natural form. Historically, livestock farming has been a cornerstone in our region, economically as well as socially. The sustainability of this agriculture stands on it actually strives to meet a balance between the environmental, economic viability, environmental health, as well as the social equity, of which they speak to the National Development 5, that speaks to the economic transformation, that speaks to the social transformation, economic progression, as well as the environmental sustainability in good governance. Sustainable livestock farming offers a viable path forward, and it helps with creating jobs, not only in the farming systems, but also in production, also in processing, also in transportation. And the ministry really has done various efforts, gone through various efforts, establishing the likes of cooperatives, local cooperatives, that allows the local farmers to come together and share resources and share knowledge, as well as share the markets that are available. The reason why, one of the reasons behind these cooperatives is to amplify the voices of this local farmers, especially those ones that are a little bit behind, in order for them to be able to have fetch better prices with their products, as well as also be able to break into the markets. Some of the projects, programs, schemes that the government has actually come up with, also with the help of the Harambee Prosperity Plans, the HASIADEP, schemes such as the Poultry Value Chain Development Schemes, the Horticultural Support Value Chain Development Schemes, Conservation Agriculture, Dairy Development, Value Chain Development Schemes, and the likes, including NAMSIP as well. And if you take a good notice, you will realize that the schemes, the ones that I just mentioned, most of them have the value chain in them. Because it goes back to what the previous speaker also was talking about when it comes to value chain, that it is something that we actually do lack here and there in our communities. So that is also one of the objectives that the government, or strategies that the government came up with in order for us to be able to see if we can support our people, and then they can go into these things as well and be able to get the best out of their production throughout. Now, the government also tries as much as it can, because at this stage we also have rolled out a drought intervention scheme or strategy, where the farmers are being helped in these difficult times through subsidized products, be it their sales, be it the marketing of their animals, be it the feed stuff that they would have bought for their animals. Some of these schemes, such as the Dairy Value Chain Development Schemes, aims at linking the informal milk production to the formal market, also to the catering services, as well as to the retailers, because dairy production is one of the sectors that is actually lagging behind in our country, as we import most of the milk and the milk products from other countries. So one of the main, and if I go into the modalities, you realize that the dairy value chain has been allocated a lot of money, because that was one of the main things for us to try and see if we can revoke the industry. And it is in my dreams that one day the region will have a dairy value chain production that can also support the local farmers in terms of their produce that they are producing on their farms. I'm not going to leave the integration part. As much as I'll be talking about livestock farming, it is always going to be an economic viable thing to do your farming integration. As much as you're having your livestock, you also have to integrate, or it would be good for you to integrate with crop farming, forestry, or even the trophy hunting for those ones who have the privilege. Because even the livestock themselves, they need to be fed. During these drought times, you also need to put up feed that you can keep for drier seasons. And then when you do integration, you are having your crops in the background, you have your crop residues, you can always incorporate in your feed, and then you just hoping for a better production. We also have NAMSIP, Namibia Agricultural Mechanization and Seed Improvement Project, that is also helping our farmers in terms of the mechanization, in terms of lending out the tractors and implements to the farmers for them to be able to run a smoother operation, and also to improve the seed production and encourage the farmers also to be able to be producing seeds. Now, as much as I will talk about all the many things, all the good things that we can talk about, we cannot, or I cannot leave out the challenges, because of course we must acknowledge that we have challenges in the region as well. We have challenges such as the climate change, limited access to the market, and as well as the lack of knowledge. It is realistic in the region. And through the Directorate of Agricultural Directorate of Agricultural Production, Extension and Engineering Services, we provide agricultural services, we provide agricultural advices, we identify the technologies and the training needs, promote the development, help the farmers to adapt and adopt to the new technologies, and we facilitate any private and public partnerships that we can have through our extension services. As much as I would also like to talk about our successes, indeed we have successful stories, the ones that have been alluded by the previous speakers, having about two different abattoirs in the region, the Savannah beef as well as the beef core, the abattoirs in the region. And we would like to see more of other processing facilities, such as the poultry processing facilities, as well as other dairies like the one that I've mentioned earlier. In conclusion, ladies and gentlemen, the economic diversification through sustainable livestock management is not merely an option, it is an imperative for our region. By harnessing the power of sustainable practices, we can enhance the regional prosperity, and we can improve food security, and we can build a resilient economy. Thank you very much.
Ms. Zariwa, you mentioned very important points there, especially diversification, the fact that we need to diversify and practice integrated farming, which is something that I think we are lacking. So we'll be entering into the second phase of our discussions, whereby now we are coming to the discussions, and that's why I'm not taking the discussions from the podium anymore. I'll sit here. To start with, I think to set the ball rolling, I would maybe pose a question to the Honorable Minister, if he's still connected, Honorable Dr. Pea Mshelenga. Yes, there he is. Namibia farmers, especially in rural areas, lose their livelihood when wildlife kill their livestock. Yet there seems to be a lot of outcry from especially international human rights groups. Do we sincerely believe that trophy hunting is a solution to human-wildlife conflict? And if so, is the government and its stakeholders doing enough to sensitize the international community about programs that are in place to control the practice of trophy hunting?
Thank you very much. You have put it rightly that farmers are on the receiving end. They say it is only the pot that knows how hot the fire is. Thus, in my presentation, I indicated one of the publications from the protagonists of trophy hunting, indicating that those who are debating the issue should listen to the local communities because they are the ones that bears the burden of living with the wildlife. Now, as a country, through the Ministry of Environment and Tourism, because it is the sector ministry, yes, at international platforms, we are sensitizing the world about this. You know, for example, people who are opposed to trophy hunting, they put more weight on the extinction of the animals. Many of them actually have these animals extincted in their own respective countries. They put more weight on that and disregard the disadvantage to the local communities and farmers. So you can now tell that it is not a genuine concern, because anyone who is concerned generally would be concerned more about the livelihood of people. Should we now let the people suffer, their livestock suffer, then the animals that are being trophy hunted? That is the question. So we as a country do explain these to other countries and to non-governmental organizations that are involved in the campaign against trophy hunting. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. I still have another question for you pertaining livestock. Agriculture production, specifically livestock farming, contributes greatly to the economy of Namibia, with Ochodonjupa and Omaheke regions being the top contributors to livestock production in the country and to the GDP. As a country, what have we availed, especially considering the drought situation that we are facing? What have we availed to ensure that we make a mark on the meat and agronomic markets in the world?
First, it is important to know, before we talk about the markets in the world, we should talk about the incentives that we do put in place when we have drought in the country. And we all know that every time we have drought, there would be incentives to farmers to sell their livestock because of the drought effect. Now, with regard to international market, obviously, we reduce our exports to those markets because we do not have enough to export, largely because most of the animals die as a result of drought, and they die in a state in which they are unable to be exported. So there is nothing that you can do to convince people that you should be able to export these livestock that die in a state that are not that they are not actually exportable. And as you already know, we are unable to fill already our quotas in those markets without drought, because we do not necessarily produce enough livestock to fill our quotas in the market.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. The floor is now about to be open because we are only left with about 30 minutes before the conclusion of this session. I'd like to ask Mr. Pretorius a question while the audience is preparing themselves. We will have roaming mics, by the way, so you just put up your hand where you are and the mic will be brought where you are. Mr. Pretorius, what prospects are there in terms of leveraging sustainable use of our resources, livestock, the land we have, the game, and so on?
Thank you for the question. I think it's a very vast question to ask. I think there's vast potential for us to grow, but we maybe put emphasis on the wrong side. In my view, I think we should put much more emphasis on our soil health, the health of our environment. Bush encroachment is taking 50% of our capacity. We concentrate on feedlots, we concentrate on the value chain, but the source of our production is under threat due to bush encroachment. Apart from that, soil health. For us as farmers on grassroots, on the soil, I think this should be our first priority. As the governor has pointed out, 50% of our yield is leaving this country in the form as weaners to South Africa. What do we do to keep these weaners in Namibia, to do the necessary value adding to those weaners? It's easier said than done. Do we put them in a feedlot that immediately places us in a different league as where we currently sell our beef? We sell our beef as free range. Then they come from a feedlot. Feedlot competition is quite different from that as free range. A different question, do we get the necessary money back for the free range? A whole can of worm we can open. Me on the farm can farm 50% more if I address my bush problem. Meaning, I can keep 50% of that calves or weaners that is leaving this country on the veld without a feedlot and with access to that lucrative markets for free range. It's a question of balancing these acts. We have to take into account that we are in a dry country. We have to take into account that in game farming, to manage your grazing is very, very difficult. Much difficult, more difficult than with livestock. Because you have got 5,000, 10,000, 20,000 camp, and the animals tend to eat out the supplement vegetation first. So it's difficult to manage your vegetation. In Namibia, with our dry climate, I think that's a topic that we should put much more emphasis on. To make your question short, I think that we should start with the quality, the health of our soil.
Thank you very much. Ms. Derawa, you mentioned in your submission that the importance of integration, and you elaborated on some of the services that government is offering to ease the pressure that the farmers are facing. But what challenges are you experiencing in terms of ensuring the success of these interventions?
Actually, I think the biggest challenge is information dissemination, but we are trying as much as we can to have information days. But then you find that as much as you're having information days, you'll not be able to reach all the farmers. You can organize an information day and then you just have a handful of farmers that are there. And then you find that there are also farmers who are deep in areas where there are no communications networks and whatsoever. So in most cases, we find that sometimes we reach just a small number of people, and then we find that there are also farmers that are, so we will be forced to go deeper into those areas, and then again, we come back to the resources, lack of resources. Sometimes we don't have always enough vehicles to reach as far. So as much as we are trying, but then we still have those few challenges, which we also are busy addressing. And then in terms of the integration, yes, we do find farmers that are already practicing it. We go out, we give them information, we demonstrate. We're also rolling out some conservation agriculture project also, of which now in our office we are already doing the trials, which we're also going to roll out to the farmers so that they can also practice conservation agriculture in their whole setup. But yes, the biggest challenges is just information dissemination, and in some areas maybe also the lack of languages, when you have this technician who's speaking this language there and then the group is speaking that language. But it is challenges that can be solved, these things that can be solved. Yeah.
Well, there we have it, dear audience, including those that are joining us live. Ministry of Agriculture are rendering services. They just need you to avail yourselves. The challenge is that they cannot reach as much as they want to. The floor is now open for discussions and comments. Those who are joining us live, please send in your comments, your questions. They will also be taken and answered. Can we have our roaming mics also ready? I see the hand here from Honorable Governor.
Yeah, thank you very much, moderator, and my dear panelists, the Honorable Minister. Listening attentively, indeed, I must appreciate the inputs that are coming from our panelists. And indeed, Tinus, you really touch on the issue of us to focus strongly on the issue of soil quality, because soil fertility is a key determinant as far as production is concerned. And again, on the same, I want to expound on that to say that the component or the issue of diversity in terms of diversifying your farming practice, it is also dependent on the availability of the grazing land or space. Now, many a times, we would not be diversifying in absence of land. Now, diversification is that when I have 10,000 hectares of land, I am able to diversify, because the 3,000 can be under game farming, another 3,000 can be under livestock farming, and this can be under crop, whatever that is. Now, the challenge that we have is that you would have Statistician General last month released a report, last month, released a report in which they indicated that we still have a really skewed land allocation model in our country that we need to look into, where 36.7 million hectares of land are still in the hands of a selected few that we need to tap into. So that's, I will implore upon yourself to say that we need to make it a point as a mainstream discourse that we centralize and we modernize the daily discussion on land redistribution. It's a key component, because all these others are products of land availability. So when we look at the issue of land reform, it's a key thing. Hence, I want to propose and say that we need to look into agrarian reform. When you look at our policies that we have in place, most of them coming all those years back, are they all talking to the present day challenges that we are facing? And if not, what can we do about them? Hence, I propose, let's do a holistic approach and consider agrarian reform as a key component. Our farmers resorting also to the issue of selling winners is also because of land. I would only keep oxen and everything if I have land where I can keep them. In case where I have to win off the calf so that the mother can survive, the only alternative left is the auction. So hence the principle of saying, farmers in the present are price takers and the buyers are the price setters. And that is a scenario, you cannot change it. But I think until we go into agrarian reform where we deliberately invest into deliberately ensuring that, for example, meat cow, for them to slaughter, they would require an animal of 450 to 550 kilograms on the hoof, which will give a carcass mass of 230 on the hook. For you to get that, you need land to produce that. In the skewness of land availability, that cannot be a reality. And we need to actually look into that. The other issue is I'm looking at the deliberate investment. My sister, Justine, you have made mention of the investment of NAMSIP, $1.6 billion from the Namibian Agricultural Mechanization and City Improvement Program. But again, I was looking at to say that what is the investment as far as livestock improvement is concerned? That NAMSIP primarily focuses on crop production, 1.6 billion. What is the investment in the agricultural sector as far as livestock is concerned that will allow the element of diversification? So that's a component that we also need to deal with. The issues of abattoirs. How many export standard abattoirs do we have in our country? I know that we have the Windhoek abattoir. Of course, we have Beefcore. We have Okahanja that is not operational as is. So they are limited in number. At what point do we look at investing deliberately in a central region like Oshadonjupa? When you put an export standard abattoir here, every Tuesday, every Thursday, we sell not less than 1,400 heads of cattle in the auctions here. The same happens in Grootfontein every week. 2 times here, 2 times there. In total, 4,000 to 5,000 cattle. If we could have an export standard abattoir, fully fledged, supported and well resourced, it can be able to engulf some of these, and by that way we keep our domestic employment in check. Feedlots. Feedlots, we don't want to get in a space where, as you said, we are not ready to compete in the feedlot industry. But we use feedlot as rounding off, in which if an animal come in your kraal with a body condition of 3.5 or 2.5, you would want to up it to 4.5. Not too fat, but of course ideal for slaughter mess. So the feedlot would not be necessarily used to house animals on a daily basis with what you call intensive feedlot systems, but rather it's a rounding off model, because there's no way you can have an abattoir that is not fed by a feedlot. I have my dear brothers here, the Swanepoel guys in Hockveld. They are doing very good. They have a big feedlot, feeding Beefcore. Beefcore is exporting. But how do we then move away from that and say that you, the communal farmers, can be able to have a fodder production mechanism such as a garden? We have empowered you with a feedlot. Here's an export abattoir. Now you are able to do business, complementing one another. Finally, the involvement of youth. Youth, you spoke of information. Youth and women involvement in agriculture is key, because these are the futures of tomorrow. And most of the time, our young people, only the teenagers, them and so forth, are involved in agriculture, seriously, intensive farming. Most of the young people, we tend to think that the civilized and modern life of TVs and gadgets is the key determinant. But that doesn't put bread on the table. We need to modernize and make agriculture fashionable for the young people to be involved. Let us remove away from that scientific part and bring it even at vocational training level. TVETs must make it a system and a custom for them to introduce agriculture in their curriculums. And our agricultural training, when you look at it currently, universities are more theoretical as opposed to practice. I did an undergraduate in agriculture, you know very well. At Nwedam College, we do 3-4 hours of theory, then we go to Proof Plus. You castrate yourself, you do the dehoning, I can prepare butter, I can do skimming, all these things. I can do vaccinations and whatever that you have. But when agriculture becomes too theoretical, people are detached from the reality because they only memorize terminologies and theories. We need to have practical approach to agricultural science. So that's why I'm proposing total agrarian reform for us to look into the whole policies and modernize our policy to talk to the challenges and issues that we are experiencing today. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Honorable Governor. Do we have any other questions? Let's get more before we give for responses. Including those that are online as well. If we get any questions online, please just bring them forward. Yes, there's a hand there.
Good afternoon. This is just for my own curiosity's sake. Do we have any locals that are participating in trophy hunting? And to Majestine, you spoke of one of the challenges that is climate change. Are we putting up measures to ensure we still have sustainable livestock farming, us as a region now, as this region? Do we or we are just relying on the measures that we had before climate didn't start acting up? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yeah, we are not only talking about agriculture, we are also talking about especially wildlife and human life conflict. So I see Cheetah Foundation, you are also here. If you have something to contribute, please do so. In the meantime, I would like to ask the panelists to tackle the questions, anyone that you want to take, because some of them, I think, like Honorable Governors, some were more general, not specific to one panelist, as well as Honorable Minister, if he's still on the line. So we can tackle the questions now, I think, while we are waiting for more. Who goes first? Secretariat?
Can I answer,
Yes.
Honorable Minister, Honorable Governor? On the question or the part of the Governor, Namibia is 72 million hectares. It won't get bigger. Commercially, we are farming on 36,000 hectares. It won't get bigger, irrespective of who the owner of this land is. We have to optimize it. That's the key issue here. Irrespective of ownership or a communal or commercial, it doesn't really matter. We are producing roughly between 300 and 500,000 head of cattle, depending on the rainfall. We have to cater for this amount of livestock, as far as possible, producing and working them, processing it locally. Unfortunately, abattoir, a feedlot, these are crocodiles. You need to feed them every day. They are costly. So to cater for 600,000 cattle, and we only can produce 300,000 this year because of lack of rain, will put these businesses out of business. That's the one part of it. The other part of it, and I put very much emphasis on the end market. We have to see that we play in the most lucrative market in the world. We have to sell Rolls Royces and not, I do not want to do brand smashing here, but the middle of the mill. We have to capitalize on the uniqueness of our product. That can ensure that the value chain is fed from the top down to the farmer, to the communal farmer in Herero land, who is producing that winner. That will pull that farmer to economic freedom, to economic empowerment. What happened the last 4 years in Namibia? The first time ever, we moved above the prices of South Africa for our slaughter cattle. In this country was only one feedlot, that was Okapuka, that was subsidized by Meatco, belonged to Meatco. Currently, and this is the figure Meatco gave me, there is over 60 feedlots in Namibia, privately owned. Just because we moved a next gear up to from South Africa. Are we where we want to be? No. There's vast room for improvement. We've got 3-4 abattoirs that will be online mid next year, delivering to the world markets. We are producing 0.5% of the world's beef. 0.5%. we are a drop in the ocean. We can sell the top brands. We have to work on that. Coming back to land health, I think we have to diversify. Without feedlots, we won't make it. But a huge part of this, we can move to rangeland or free-range cattle if we address our bush encroachment problem, not only commercially, communal as well. That's a huge problem. We have to start investing in regenerative farming in order to address our soil health. And that will put that part of the value chain on the edge of selling to the best markets in the world. I want to conclude there. I think there's huge room for improvement, but I do not who I have to challenge, the governor or the minister. But I think this is not a topic that we can sweep under the carpet. We have to understand the whole value chain from the beginning, from the communal farmer who is breeding a calf. What kind of bull, what kind of animal is sufficient on that piece of land, up to what are we selling in New York, where the minister is currently. What do we sell there? Are we selling a hamburger patty? Then we will take what we get. The great US President Roosevelt once said, if you take the farmers from the land, the grass will grow in your cities. That's the backbone of our economy. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Ms. Zeriwa?
Okay, the investments in terms of livestock, it is one of the investments in terms of livestock, as the Honorable Governor has asked, it is one of the area of concentration that we really need to emphasize on in terms of agricultural extension services or at the ministerial level, because indeed most of the investments goes into crop production. And apart from that, we only have the value chain schemes, the dairy and the poultry, but from the external investments, there is very much that needs to be done in terms of maybe approaches or seeking for help or seeking for looking for the need to look into it so that we can also have external support from also other sources other than us ourselves in the livestock industry, just running in circles and trying to find our own way. Of course, there are those ones that are less privileged. We will find those ones that are more privileged that they can roll it up to the end, but then there are those ones that are so not privileged and they want to go ahead. But for now, we can just roll with the value chains, the dairy value chain scheme, the poultry value chain scheme. Yeah, those are the main ones, because the other ones is just to integrate them. In terms of the climate challenges, the measures, of course, we have the ones that we already have like at the backlog of our heads, but now this is the time for us to, we actually have a lot of strings of trainings and information days that we have outlined in the region that will start rolling from the first week of October. In terms of feed formulation, trying to bring in awareness to the farmers that, especially now that we see prospect of rain, that you make hay while the sun shines. So when there's rain, this is the time where you have to keep stock for your livestock for the drier times. We have information days on the likes of the carrying capacity, because you tend to find that most of the time, even though we can see that the times are hard, we can see that the field is dry, we still carry on having a lot of animals on the land that cannot support so many animals. We will couple that with the destocking. When is the right time to destock? We have information days on the nutritional components, on what feeds, what available feeds resources that are locally available that we can also incorporate into, that a farmer can incorporate into their little commercial feed that they have or that they can use on their farms. All these trainings are going to run in the month of October and November, and we also have some maybe not so affected by the climate change or the drought, the poultry trainings also that are also lined up for the month of October and November. And also, in terms of breeding issues, in terms of climate change, we're also looking into the research component of the extension services, where we want to start doing some researches on breeding issues. But this is just a proposal that is still in the running for us to go into the research component of our extension services and research what better ways can we adopt in the future, what better technologies can we adopt in the future in order for us to be able to address the climate change issues.
Is that all?
Yeah, I think that's all.
Oh, thank you very much. I don't know whether Honorable Minister is still connected. Maybe he wants to add something to the questions that were raised. Honorable Minister,
No,
is there anything?
The questions were more directed to other panelists.
Okay, thank you. You want to add something, Mr. Riwa?
Add something in terms of the TVET that Honorable Governor was also talking about. It is indeed correct that he's saying that the universities have become very theoretical and we need to really invest in the TVETs. We do have two institutions, governmental institutions, the Mashara and the Tumes, that are that's supposed to be running the TVETs, although they are still in the process of setting up. And also in the region, we have the trainees being produced at National Youth Service and Rietfontein, also that are doing TVET in agriculture, or in all three, crop, livestock, and farm machinery. And I think we also have one in Okakarara, Namvok is also having some TVET trainees that are also being generated or being generated into the system.
Okay, thank you very much. There was a question on trophy, whether locals participate in trophy hunting. We don't have someone from the Ministry of Tourism currently, but I know that that information would readily get it on their website. If you log on their website, I saw it myself, especially inclusive on how conservancies are formulated and so on, how rights can be handed over to the local communities for them to manage the resources themselves. So we apologize that we do not have someone, but I think you can just log on the website. Do we have any other question? Yes, from Cheetah Foundation. Afternoon.
I know we are out of time, but I just wanted to ask some few questions. So in terms of farming, what is the government plan to help farmers determine their carrying capacity? That is one of the issues that we have when we give training in rural areas. It's the fact that farmers cannot determine how much cattle must they have on their land. And this is in terms of bush encroachment. We have wildlife, which we don't take into consideration, and we are sharing the land. So how can the government help to determine that? Another question is also in terms of the government in the country. What is sustainable farming? And how can a farmer determine if he's sustainable? Furthermore, we know in agriculture, profit margins for livestock have declined. How do we tackle unemployment in farming when the profit is declining every single year? And my last question is, since we are from Cheetah Conservation Fund, we are trying to conserve the cheetahs. With trophy hunting, what is the effect of trophy hunting to the cheetahs? Is it gonna decline the predators, or are we going to sustain? And what measures will determine if these cheetahs or these predators are being sustained or a farmer is farming sustainably? Because we know, end of the day, it's only the farmer that knows what predators or what wildlife is in his land. So that's all the questions I have for today. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Fortunately, most of your questions were already touched by the different speakers, but they will just, for the sake of responding to your question, they will just briefly touch or respond to you because they covered it in their introductory remarks. I don't know who will go in first. Carrying capacity.
Indeed, it was covered. I just responded now on the climate change measures that she asked today, where I said we have a string of activities that are lined for October and November. We're going to have information days information days and trainings that we're going to give to the farmers around the whole of Southern Juba region. One of them is carrying capacity and feed formulation. This talking goes with carrying capacity as well as information on the nutritional components, how to feed your animals in different times of the year. Yes, that is going to be covered. And then apart from that, if we don't reach you or if wherever we came, you're not there or whatsoever, our offices are always open. You can always come to the office, the peace office, Ministry of Agriculture, for any information that you want, for any guidance that you want. We are there. So if you happen to miss the information days, you can always come and request. I have a farm where I farm way, and I need my farm I need to carry out the carry capacity on my farm. We will always send out, either if there's a technician in the area, we'll always come and help you. And the good thing is that I think past July, September, we had a refresher ourselves at the office on the issues of feed formulation and carrying capacity, where we got the expertise services just to refresh ourselves, because we knew we were going to impact on this journey and start getting our farmers on their feet in terms of carrying capacity. What is sustainable farming? Sustainable farming is when you use your resources in your farm wisely so that you don't damage the environment or you don't deteriorate your rangelands. You have to use it in such a way that the future generation will also be able to get benefits out of those, out of that land. And the sustainable practices that I can maybe allude to right now is practices like rotational grazing. Rotational grazing will help the rangelands to recover substantially, and also at the same time, while you are able to feed your animals also without any issues. And this rotational grazing also, like they were talking about, the soil health also helps to improve the health of your soil as well as the ecosystem in general. Use of integrated pest management, use biological pest management to reduce the chemical inputs in your lands, and also that protects your animals as well as having a healthy ecosystem. You can use things like using available resources, feed resources that are available on your farm. That will also help you to reduce the cost. That will also help you to get away from the cost of the importation of the feeds or commercial feeds that you get. Basically, I think that is all that I can say about sustainable farming at the moment, and also the answer on the carrying capacity that you want to be carried out on your farm.
Mr. Pretorius, on the declining profit and effect of trophy hunting on predators?
I think the government mentioned it, and I also mentioned it, that we cannot put trophy hunting in a box. It's an industry of which ecotourism is part. And we cannot take one species and put it to one side. We have to look to the whole environment, and that is what we are selling. So we cannot use one species to the cost of the other one. I think Namibia is known for its cheetahs. The Cheetah Conservation Fund is doing wonderful work in Otjiwarongo area, in the Otjiwarongo region, as well as in Omaheke. If you take the amount of animals on land outside of parks in the early 70s, 80s, and the amount now, there's a huge difference, a vast difference. Painted dogs, or wild dogs as we know it, was not, you didn't see them anymore. Nowadays they are also coming back. The amount of leopards that were as predators in commercial and communal areas has just dramatically increased. So I do not think we can take one species and put it to one side and just cater for that. The same for the elephants. I mean, the elephants is one of the key attractions for tourism in this country, but they need to be controlled. I mean, you cannot let it go and it will be to the detriment of the environment, the fauna and the flora. So it's a fine balance, and we have clever people in this country who manage to navigate the balance between use and produce. So I do not think we have to can put this in isolation, only looking at the cheetah. We are proud of our cheetah population in Namibia, and we have to preserve it, but there are other animals as well, so we have to look at the whole range.
Yes, Honorable.
On the issues of the cheetah, we must also add the trophy hunting practice.
Where's the mic?
Trophy hunting that is happening in Namibia, it's a conservation system. It goes under what you call conservation harvesting, through which calculations are done in terms of tallying the number of animals available, and then the Ministry of Environment will have to give you a permit. Even on your own private farm, you are given a permit of how many kudus you can harvest at a point, how many elands and so forth. All that falls within the bigger basket of conservation farming that is within our... And Namibia is the only country in the world where environmental conservation is in our constitution. That is all put there deliberately to ensure that we are, as Tines is saying, all these endangered species that at a point were nearly facing extinction. Today, on the road when you're driving, you find a pack of wild dogs running from this side and a flock of what on this side and so forth. So that is all the conservation efforts. And there's a de-link because cheetahs are endangered species. Now, in terms of the harvesting methodology and system, they can only be eliminated if it become a problematic animal. In natural systems that are in existence, it is totally beyond anybody's jurisdiction. Only the minister or so forth can be able to give a permit. Really, you have to take out a cheetah because it's an endangered species, and as a result, it's conserved. So trophy hunting, not in any single bit does it threaten the existence of cheetahs or either the Cheetah Conservation Fund. But I also wanted to add, Cheetah Conservation Fund have been in existence for some time, and they are well resourced from all the international donors. But I think it is also high time that Cheetah Conservation Fund need to somehow be felt at the general level. Because when you look, I know that there was a scheme where they introduced those dogs that were actually crossbred. But importantly, all these dogs were actually castrated. They were not productive. You could have this dog at your place, you cannot expand in terms of it. So it's a good dog that you got. It's a breed of X plus a cheetah for goat herding and so forth. But then the limitation of it in terms of further breeding and going forth, that is actually conserved and preserved and controlled under the Cheetah Conservation Fund. So I look at a point where we say the statistics, the data, the genetics. I visited the project one day. It's top of the range. It's used globally. But it is high time that we also need to start to say how much of the Namibian population, the farmers that have problems with all the cheetahs and so forth, how do they tend and how can they benefit from cheetah conservation efforts for them also to better our lifestyle as far as going forward is concerned. I think that's a part that I wanted to touch the most. And the issue of trophy hunting, what is important is there are conservancies out there and a lot of entities that are really into this trophy hunting. Concessions are being given out. What we need to look at is also the beneficiation formula. The Vice President, Her Excellency Netumbo Daitwa, is always talking to us about natural resource beneficiation. In terms of our trophy hunting as a concession, how much of a community pack, say in a communal area, if you shoot an elephant, 100,000, how much of that money is plowed back into that community, as opposed to it being taken out and put in a conservation fund? There was this rhetoric where our ivory, we are told, all the poached ivory that we have recovered must be banned. Now, that ivory is having value. If you convert it into monetary value, that money can eventually be used into something. But somehow the international community, due to their own understanding of how the world operates, they will tell you, ban your own ivory. So we also need to listen, but we know our situation in our country better than a person who sits somewhere in Europe and all what they do is to have a small office that is running a computer. They don't know the reality of what happens on the ground. So there must be a balance between realisticness of nature and, of course, conservation hunting. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable. I think we are reaching the close of our session. And in the absence of comments that are coming from the online viewers, I just want to thank you for coming here on a Friday afternoon to come and be part of this session, and to thank especially Merco. I know that when they do their vote of thanks, they will not thank themselves. So we really appreciate that the THEO-BEN GURIRAB lecture came to Ochodonjupa. It's a milestone for us. Can we give ourselves a round of applause? Thank you very much. I would like to call upon Mr. Erastus Hailwa, the Deputy Director in the Ministry of International Relations and Cooperation, who is also the Deputy Chairperson of the Dr. THEO-BEN GURIRAB lecture series, to deliver the vote of thanks.
Thank you very much, Madam Moderator. As alluded to earlier, my name is Erastus Hailwa. Let me start by thanking the moderator for doing such a beautiful job in keeping us on time and keeping us engaged in this lovely debate. I'm sure all of you are seeing the name on your program is should be Honorable Janelle Matundu, our Deputy Minister. However, due to equally important commitments, she's unable to be here today. Hence, I'm delivering the vote of thanks. Ladies and gentlemen, as we come to the close of the 21st edition of the Dr. THEO-BEN GURIRAB lecture series, it is my distinct honor to really express our gratitude to the governor of the region and his office for welcoming us into this beautiful, great region and availing this state-of-the-art facilities to us. Furthermore, let me express on behalf of the committee our deepest gratitude to our Honorable Minister, Dr. Pierre Mushelenga, who is joined us despite the various time differences. He woke up very early in the morning to join us, to be part of this engagement. It just really shows that his dedication to not only serving the nation and to this specific program. So we really appreciate, Doctor, for taking time from your early hours in New York to join us today. Furthermore, without going further, let me also express our gratitude to the presenters. Without you, we will not have a deep understanding of these critical issues that are important to us in our daily lives. Because as you are aware, we have learned many things. Personally, myself, I never knew such a great region has a big cattle population, and also in terms of the many schemes government has. So really for us, from our side as a ministry, we appreciate you in coming and giving us such discussions. Furthermore, let me express our sincere appreciation to our partners, NBC. For the past 21 editions, you have been with us, and you have made sure that the public out in the country is following virtually, and they are always here with us. So really, from our side, we'd like to appreciate your continued support, and we wish to continue engaging NBC and making sure that the public out there is fully aware of the various programs government does. With that said, let me thank the audience really, without you, we'll not be able to carry out this, this lecture series. Seeing you here today gives us motivations to continue and do more of these activities in various regions. So really, we appreciate the audience for taking time of your busy schedule to be with us today. We appreciate that. And finally, let us carry the lessons learned from this series into our daily lives and work, keeping the spirit of Dr. THEO-BEN GURIRAB's legacy alive. So let us really take all this knowledge we get from these engagements. Let's take them out and let's implement them in our daily lives and at our work. With those few words, let me thank you once again for coming, and we look forward to the 22nd episode, which will be held in the Kunene region very soon. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Let's give another big hand. The 21st Dr. THEO-BEN GURIRAB lecture series has come to an end. But I'll have to announce, like the former speaker mentioned, that let's keep the legacy alive for years to come. It is the greatest memory that we can ever have as a country and as citizens. Before we rise for the anthems, I'd like to announce that I was told there will be refreshments. So there will be people who will direct you after these proceedings. May we all rise now for the anthems, starting with the AU anthem.